Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello everyone, welcome to Renovation Sportfish. In this episode we're going to finish off all the work on the transom, getting it prepared to get back to the cockpit framing project I started quite a few episodes ago. We'll do some fiberglassing, just some general cleanup of the fiberglass that was already there, remove some panels that are installed on the transom back there, and yeah, like I said, by the end of this episode we're ready to get back into the cockpit framing part of the project. Well, today I'm going to cut some fiberglass for the transom. I'm going to do it here on this table behind me that I set up inside the cabin. It's one of the reasons why I didn't start putting the settees and things back in here. I wanted to have some room to set up a table or do work in here. So these are the tools I'm going to use. Got a couple pairs of shears here. Got an electric shear. I got the battery for the electric shear charging over here. And then this is the fiberglass I'm going to use. It's called 1708. It's got a chopped strand on the back side, and it's biaxial pattern on the main part of it, and it's pretty thick stuff. I've never used this before, so it's going to do 2 layers, but I think 1 layer is going to be good enough for this. Got to remember that the piece I'm fiberglassing over wasn't even fiberglass from the factory, so I just want to protect it, and I want to tie it into the hull and the existing fiberglass around it. So I'm going to get some rough measurements and start cutting. This is in, and I cut the thing way too big. Of course I did do that, right? But that's alright. Basically I want to get it down on the stringer. Just taped it up here. It doesn't have to go any higher than that. Do it. We're finally going to try to put some fiberglass on the transom. Now, I spent yesterday cutting the fiberglass and getting it prepared, and I actually not an expert at fiberglass, even though I've done a lot of the fiberglass on this boat. I really haven't used this type of material before. It's all been that Zinol, and it's a little bit different than what I'm going to be using today. So I had to do a little refresher. So I watched a episode of Boatworks today with this guy Andy, who's way more of an expert with fiberglass than I am, and he happened to be using the same material I'm using with epoxy, and he was stiffening up a transom on a Bertram project he was working on. He used 5 layers of fiberglass. I'm only going to use 1, but it was a different purpose. So, but you know, the technique I'm going to kind of borrow from him, and we'll see how it goes. So one of the first things I want to do, and it was a tip from this guy on Boatworks today, was he pre-wetted out his fiberglass. Now I normally don't do that. I usually wet out the surface and then just put it on there, but with this material it's a lot heavier and thicker, And so I thought that's probably a good idea. Now, I'm probably going to do it on the backside. I think he did it on the front. He wet it out with the backside down, but I can't be positive. I can't remember. But I'm going to put the backside up that has the chopped strand mat on it. Because that's what I'm most worried about getting good coverage with. And getting the resin to soak in all the way. So I'm going to wet out all this area with resin first. This plywood here is going to soak up a lot of the resin, and I really, it'll soak the resin right out of the fiberglass, according to all the experts I listen to and read about. After I do that, then I'm going to go through, and it was suggested by this guy on Boatworks Today as well, Andy. And I read it in the West Systems manual as well. If you have a porous kind of surface and a bumpy surface like I do here, it was woven roving, and it, you grind it, but I don't want to go crazy grinding it because I don't, it's the hull of the boat. There's no core there. So I got it pretty good, but there could be little spots that are a little bit low or whatever. And so I want to fill those in. So I'm going to mix up a real thin mixture of thickened epoxy with colloidal silica, and that should fill in any of these low little areas before I put the glass on, so I get good contact everywhere. This is the area here that I set up to wet out my glass. Now I have an area inside I could have used, but this is like right where I'm working, so a piece of fiberglass just barely fits on there, but I think it'll work. I think it'll work fine for wetting it out, and then I just have to grab it right from here and move it right over to where I'm working. So let's get going, and I guess we'll start wetting out the plywood. So this is the stuff here, 406, and mixed it up. What they say mayonnaise consistency in the West Systems manual book, and I'd say that's kind of like mayonnaise, I guess. So what I'm going to do is just fill some of these areas here where I ground down the roving, just to fill in some of the pits and things, and down in around here. Nothing really on the plywood. The plywood's fine. Nothing wrong with that area. guy from Boatworks today said the same thing when he was pushing this out by hand. He said, oh, people are going to say something about it, but he assured them that this is fine to do it this way as long as the air is out of there, I guess. So, I'll start like this and then I'll come back and maybe roll it with a pin roller up. I'm not sure. It's my first time doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. But it seems to be playing out pretty good. Seeing any air bubbles. Surprised that method really worked, I have to say. Didn't know if that was going to work with the hand massaging there, but I don't seem to have any bubbles in there. There's a few spots that I'm not happy with the amount of resin. I'm gonna go over it with a little bit. And you gotta love it when you don't have to dirty up that many tools. I'm loving that. I'm gonna get these dry spots out on the edge here with a brush. So here we are after we got it all on. This is the starboard side. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go in and put a couple coats of epoxy on this to fill in the weave a little bit better. But after the first go around, we'll go over to the port side. This side, of course, I didn't film it, but actually went a little bit smoother. I learned a little on the first one. And yeah. Came out really good. Really happy with it, actually. So, anyways, that's it for today. Well, here we are at the boat again. Another day, another project. I have to adjust some of the shrink wrap supports in the aft end near the transom. Why don't I just show you it, and it'll probably help explain it a little better. Two cleats in the back on the transom here, and you can see that piece of 2x4 coming down and resting on there, and that supports my entire shrink wrap frame here. But what I want to do is remove these panels here and that whole cleat area so I can start doing framing down here. So to do that, I gotta get that 2x4 off of there. So what I'm going to do is just attach another 2x4 right here, probably this way. I was thinking of that way, but I think this way I could put more screws in it and it'll be better. And that'll keep it from going down. It's pretty tight in the hose plate there, so. Okay, so both blocks of wood are off. This is the port side, just cut it. But the interesting thing with this panel, if you look down here, you can see the rot, because I can stick my finger right into it here. This is kind of how the main bulkhead was. So this piece of plywood is toast. That's the condition of it. Now it just has this, it's like a laminate, countertop laminate that was on top of it. It's all peeled off basically. And the other thing is the cleat. I get situated here. The cleat is attached to this block, but the block is only, I think, attached to this panel. Because when I'm pulling this cleat, I don't know if you can even see that moving up there. Well, this will demonstrate. I'm going to pull on this cleat, and you'll see up in here how this thing moves. That thing is just held onto the panel. If I pull hard enough, I could probably pull the whole cleat and the panel right off. So that's not good. Next thing I'm going to do is take off these cleats, try to take off these, or I might even not even take these off since it looks like it's just held into the panel. I might just pull off the laminate, see if I can expose all the screws and just unscrew the panel. And this panel over here, most of the laminate came right off, so I'm going to try the same thing over here too. So that's what we'll work on now. I'm just going to try cutting it with a knife here. What looks like they did was just fasten this to the actual block and then fasten the whole block with 6 screws to the 1/2-inch panel. So I'm gonna have to think about what I want to do here. This is the engagement of the actual screws to the block. So I don't know about that. Yeah, gonna have to think about that one a little bit. But yeah, that's it. Nothing protecting this wood at all. You can see it rotted pretty good in that corner, and down in here, and down in that corner. So the last time I was here, I removed the panels that were on this transom. This is the starboard side we're looking at now. You know, these holes here are from where the cleats were attached. And by the looks of it, it looks like they drilled these holes after the fact. But when I look at the piece that I took out, it looks like they drilled them before. So I had to investigate this thing. Looks like they used a hole saw there to cut those out. But anyways, there's a little work to do when I took those panels off. You can see one here. A lot of the screws broke off. So I gotta get those out of there. There's a couple more over here. And some on the ends here. So I'm gonna get these all out. There's a step that's attached on the transom. That's why these screws are sticking through. I'm not going to use that step, so I'll take that off of the outside. Maybe not today, but I'm going to do that at some point. And same things on the port side. And then there's just areas of the fiberglass, like right here, where I want to just do a quick cleanup. Here's some more areas up in here. Just want to clean up this a little bit. Just the factory stuff. That's all along here, up in that corner over there. There's just like this loose factory fiberglass that it's everywhere on this boat, and I'm just trying to get it cleaned up so then I can scrub it with some degreaser and get all the crud off and everything. So this is the starboard side corner, and I'll just show the starboard side. The port side is basically the same thing. And there was, you could see where I yesterday cut some of the little bubbles and weird things in the fiberglass here at the bottom. And then we go up here, and there wasn't too much up here, but there's a little bit of craziness going on. And you know, and then up at the top it was a little funky up there. So anyways, I want to grind this corner down and the other side, and this is actually the fiberglass that came around and ties in. So this isn't really the corner of the hull. This is just a piece of fiberglass. There's probably an air gap in there because they didn't really go right to the corner. But it's on there pretty good, and I don't want to mess with it. It's pretty nice, thick, woven roving. I just want to put something over the top of it just to make sure it's good. And just clean it up. And the tape is the best thing. I don't have to cut strips. I could just put it on there, clean it up. I'll probably put in some thickened epoxy underneath it, kind of like I did on the other transom piece, just to fill in any of those really deep areas that you really can't, you know, grind smooth. It would take you forever, and there may not be anything left. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to work on today, grinding that down and prepping it, and hopefully getting it good to put some tabbing in. I don't know how much of that I'm going to actually film. It's really hot over here today, and it's just a dirty, dusty job, but I'll show you the final result. So here we are at the starboard side where the transom meets the hull, and I've been grinding all this corner out. Now the tabbing for this plywood here that's attached to the transom goes around and then came around into this area right here, and it was kind of a little funky. You know, you can see some areas where I've ground it down. It looked a lot worse than that. So I decided to overlay some fiberglass in the corner. The top, similar situation, is actually pretty hairy up in here, where they kind of didn't really get it too good. So that's what made me decide to overlay with some fiberglass. There's still fiberglass there, but it's not the best. So what I'm going to do on the top, because it's a lot narrower, I'm going to use this 4-inch wide, they call it fiberglass tape. I think it's 6-ounce tape, and just run probably 2 layers of this at the top because it's a little bit worse. The bottom, it's not too bad, so most of the tabbing is still intact there, except kind of in that area. For the bottom, I'm going to use a 6-inch, because it's a little bit wider, 6-inch tape. So that's where we're at. Okay, so just do this quick video before I pass out here. Up underneath, that's the 4-inch all the way down to this piece of wood, and then there's 6-inch wide, and yeah, that's it for that. And then I got a fillet going on all the way up underneath here. Didn't really need that, but it looked a little ragged up there, so and I just put one in. Might still tab up there too. And there's the port side over there. I'm not even going to go over there, but you can see it. Okay, so that's going to basically do it for this episode. But before I kind of wrap it all up here, it's been a year since I've been doing these videos and having this channel. And I told myself in the beginning, after a year, I'm going to kind of just take a look at everything and see if I like doing it, if I don't like doing it, if I'm losing time working on the boat because I'm doing it, and all kinds of factors, and just do an evaluation of the channel and everything about it. I am going to continue doing it. I like it enough for that, but I am going to change the releases for the videos. I decided to do videos like every other week instead of every week. It's just going to give me more time to put the videos together, give me some free weekends to actually work on the boat, because working on the boat has really been lacking since I've been doing this. And so that's the decision I made, and that's how we're going to do it going forward. I am going to try to put the videos out on the same day every week. I haven't been doing that at all. I'm all over the place, and I'm going to try to shoot for Thursday, at some point Thursday, Eastern time in the United States. So anyways, that's what we're going to do going forward. So until the next episode, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation.